This content is for informational purposes only. You should not construe any such information or other material as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. Nothing contained on here constitutes a solicitation, recommendation, endorsement, or offer by Draper Goren Holm or any third-party service provider to buy or sell any securities or other financial instruments whatsoever.
Hey everyone, it is me. We are here. Joseph is here too. Say hi, Joseph.
Hey, what's up?
Boom, boom, boom. We're recording.
Good morning, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone. Hey, everyone. Hey, everyone.
I am recording this on the computer now.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone. Hey, everyone.
Boom. All right. It says it's recording. Boom, 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 boom. I am apparently recording.
The entire bottle of control.
They're all exactly the same.
Crypto art, and then what it really is an NFT.
Wow. Eddie wants to slap the bag.
So this is the next best thing.
DeFi is going to be a bubble.
It's provably scarce.
With Mad Dog.
Crypto, gold, and silver.
Transparent substance.
Take my money, start a war with it.
Without further ado.
Cheers to you, brother.
Get shit done. Because the system has to collapse before that.
Corona.
Cheers. I feel much better now.
Cheers.
Wow, that was heavy.
Boom. Welcome to Blockchain Booth number 98. Holy crap. So 98 weeks straight. Well, in a couple of weeks, we'll get to 100. We'll have a little party or something. But for those of you who are watching real quick on the YouTube stream or on Twitter or whatever, if you come to meet.blockchainbooths.io, you come hang out with us, ask questions, hang in the chat, and then when we're done in about an hour, you can turn on your camera as well and have a little fun and with us and hang out backstage and do whatever with the community. Something that's very, very cool. And by the way, thank you to Lunar Crush and Blockchain Radio and all that for syndicating this and sharing it. One of the things that's really cool about our community is that so many cool projects have actually come out of it. And not that this project came out of our community, but Ronin down below me right here, he's one of the longtime Blockchain Booze attendees. And I found out about this through just hanging out at the tables after the event. So welcome to Blockchain Booze, guys. Cheers.
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 Dang, I think everyone's got a drink. I like it. So Ronin, it would be cool for you to start and maybe introduce the crew. You came, you told me about the Players Lounge, and I was super intrigued. So tell us about it. Introduce the rest of the crew.
Yeah. So for anyone who is not aware exactly what the Players Lounge is, it is a project that is started by these guys here that focuses on compensating collegiate players now that they're able to do so through the NIL rules, which stands for name, image, and likeness. Collegiate players, which for anyone who's not aware, basically have historically not been able to make any type of profit or money or compensation on their name, image, or likeness while they're in college. Now can, thanks to a new rule as of last summer. So the team here, saw an opportunity to be able to kind of work with some, both present and past players and get them involved in an NFT project that made quite a lot of sense when I heard about it. So I'm going to let these guys introduce themselves, and then maybe they can kind of give you a little bit more information of exactly like the origin of, the Players Lounge and the DGD Mafia, which is kind of a subset of that lounge and has launched last month, which is tied to the University, of Georgia and the players there. So Ty and Trent and Keith and Aaron Murray all played at the university and did found the Players Lounge. So I will let Aaron, if you kind of want to start a little bit, tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about the Players Lounge, and then we can kind of go to Ty and then Keith. I'd love everybody and Trent as well to get a moment.
Yeah, so I got to give credit to Ty and Trent, man. They're the brains behind this operation. They came to Keith and myself, about 5 months ago, and I got a call from Ty saying, "Hey, man, I got a great idea." And I'm like, Ty is one of the smartest guys I know. I'm like, why is Ty calling me? Because I'm not anywhere near as smart as he is, but I'm definitely going to pick up and listen because my man, like I said, helped me out a lot. We were roommates in college. But he's got an idea. Most likely it's going to be a good one. And I'll let him get into the origin a little bit more when he has his turn. But, Ronan, you hit it on the head, man. We all played collegiate football for Georgia, had a great time. And all of a sudden, these rules started changing. Kids can make money off their name, image, and likeness. You're seeing a lot of crazy deals out there. And we're like, okay, let's find a way to get these kids paid, and also find a way to bring a community aspect where fans get a little bit more interaction. Like the normal fan always, if they see us on the street, like, hey, what is it like being in the locker room? Or what is it like, being a student athlete or playing Sanford Stadium? And they just want a little bit of a snippet about what goes on in these players' lives day to day. It's like, all right, if we can create an NFT and a way to get these players paid, and then create utility to get these fans interacting with both former and current players, in our opinion, it was a win-win for everyone. And that's when I came up with this brilliant idea. We had 5,000 of these NFTs, $200 a pop. We sold out in 3.5 hours. And our player partners are going to make over $300,000. We have parties and tailgates and golf tournaments and a lot in the works when it comes to the utility for our fan base to connect with these former and current players. So really excited about the project, and now just looking to take this across the country.
That's awesome. So actually, yeah, let's go. We could go around and get the rest of the guys introduced, but I've got so many questions about it. Keith, maybe you want to go next?
Yeah, I can go next. So first and foremost, I appreciate you having us on. Ronan, thank you for setting this up. I'm super excited about this. As Murray said, this project, we started about 4 or 5 months ago. For me, it's very similar to Taryn. Ty called me out of the blue, kind of introduced the idea to me. I'm somebody who was familiar with blockchain and crypto and NFTs, but I hadn't really jumped in full-fledged yet. So this was an opportunity to do that. It's really been a great experience. I've learned so much, and the ability to kind of operate at the intersection of like NIL, which is brand new, NFTs, which is a hot topic, and then the university that obviously means so much to me has been an awesome experience. So with that, I won't go any too much. I think Aaron did a good job highlighting kind of what the project is about, and so I'll pass it to Ty and Trent and let them do their introductions.
Yeah, what's up, guys? Thanks so much, Alon, for having us on. It's a pleasure to be here. This project started several months ago, but it really got started when we met Ronan and their team and joined forces, and it's been a lot of fun ever since. We've got the guys over at Gig Labs to thank for a lot of stuff, and so it means the world to us to have them as a partner and have Ronan on here with us tonight. Trent and I got started back in October trying to pull this project together, and we're lucky enough to have Aaron and Keith jump on board. And what we're trying to do is use NIL to unlock fan engagement with players. And so what we see this as a player branding opportunity. So I think back on mine and Trent's days, as a long snapper, we didn't have, the spotlight shining on us. People didn't know our names. And so for us to build our brand, that occurred through these chance interactions that happen with fans, shaking somebody's son's hand, or saying hello to somebody in the line. For me in Memphis, when we were playing a bowl game up there, and I met their second grader, and I brought him back and introduced him to Aaron, and he thought that was the coolest thing in the world. And that guy's now my family attorney, and I talk to him on a weekly basis, and I hunted on his farm throughout college. And it's like, so those chance interactions, like when I look back on my time at Georgia, like that is what sort of built my brand. And when I look back to the connections that I have those connections because of those chance interactions. And so what we're trying to do, what we hope that this project can do, is we give athletes a way to interact with fans on their own terms, on their own time. So that instead of just chance interactions, we can cultivate those interactions so that they can interact with fans anytime in the way that they choose, whether it's gaming or playing a golf tournament or coming out and hanging out at a signing or jumping in the Discord or doing a podcast with Aaron and Keith. Because we know that those interactions, one, that's what fans care about, and two, that's how these athletes will build their network, because the lights are going to turn off for everybody at some point. And the network that you build when the lights are on you is what's going to be valuable in the future. And so we really feel that our value, our product is we provide players this branding opportunity, and we provide fans this authentic fan engagement that they've not been able to get anywhere up until now. It's really NIL has been able to unlock that. And I'm really lucky to have my brother next to me. Sometimes I'm a little ADD and all over the place and kind of up here in the clouds, and Trent really grounds me and makes sure that everything actually gets done. He's the best sort of operator that I've ever been around. He's an entrepreneur in his own right, and has been working for himself for several years. And so he's sort of the man behind the scenes, making sure everything sort of happens the way we want it to happen.
Nice. Well, it's been great to meet you guys. I think a great place to start is NIL. You keep mentioning it, and I know the rules have changed, but can you explain it a little more? I think we all got the general idea, but some people in the chat were like, "Wait, so the players are allowed to get paid now, or is it like an endorsement? How exactly does it work? What's allowed? What's not allowed?"
Man, it's the wild, wild west. These kids can do whatever they want, and it's awesome to see because they deserve it. They work their tails off, and kind of we when we were playing, I make it seem like we're so old here, but we are getting a little bit old. There's some gray hairs coming in the chin, but we would bitch and moan like, yeah, we do get a free scholarship. We understand that, but based on, I would say, everyone in this chat right now, from Keith, Ty, and Trent, and myself, if we would have went to school in Georgia, or I'm from Florida and it's Florida Bright Futures, I could have gone to school at Florida State, Miami, USF, UCF, free of charge. So I could have gone to school for free because my grades and GPA and SAT scores, and then still gotten a job on top of that to go make money. These kids, yes, they get a free scholarship, but they really don't have the time to go out there and get a job, make money, to do projects like a podcast, a show, whatever it may be, to go make money off their name, image, and likeness. So it was a little bit frustrating. We actually had teammates of ours, AJ Green, who plays for the Arizona Cardinals, longtime Bengal. He was my teammate my freshman year, best receiver in all of college football. And he got suspended for the first 4 games of the season because he sold one of his jerseys to make some money to send home to mom and dad, because he didn't have the time to get a job, because his job was going to class, going to workouts, going to film study, go to tutoring, and then wake up and do it again the next day. Like, there was no time to get a job. That was his job, and he wasn't getting paid to do it. So, you started seeing all these stories. Todd Gurley, Keith, one of our really good friends, had a similar situation back in 15, I believe it was. Same thing, sold a jersey, I believe, or a helmet, and got dinged and missed 3 or 4 games. So really, now this is the opportunity where the players are in control. They have the ability to go do a deal with an NFT company, with a car wash, with a restaurant, whatever it is. They can now go out there and make money. And listen, I'm all for it. I'm a little bit jealous about it because I feel like I could have made some money back in the day. But, I'm happy that these kids are at least taking advantage now.
Yeah, it's wild because the universities themselves are selling. They weren't allowed to, I think, if I remember correctly, they couldn't put like the name of the player, but they could sell the jersey number. And so essentially the university themselves would make a ton of money off the individual players. Like, I'm sure everybody's buying, AJ Green's jersey number, and he sells one of them with his name actually on it. It's his name and his jersey. It's kind of insane.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, it's really wild. The college athletics, particularly college football, is a multiple, hundreds of millions of dollars a year business. If you look at every other entity that's involved outside of the athletes themselves, they all get to participate in, free market economics. Coaches go to the highest bidder, the programs, they invest in their programs. The athletic departments run it just like you would run an enterprise business. But this whole time there was an idea that the college kids were amateurs and therefore they couldn't profit on their name, image, and likeness. And so to Murray's point, the reason that I believe this to be so powerful is there's so many kids that come from environments where they don't have the economic power to really support their families, and it's an opportunity for them to take that and maybe change the trajectory of the next generation of their family. So the fact that they're able to capitalize off the hard work that they're able to do now is really special, and I'm excited about it. I'm excited that we're a part of that, this industry that's being born, and hopefully we can do it in a way that allows these kids to be successful long term.
Yeah. So are there any sort of caps, rules, around this for the players? I guess, like, can they get similar endorsement deals like the Nike deals and the Adidas deals, whatever that the NFL players get?
Yeah, they can do it. So they can't do anything when it comes to liquor or tobacco. and they have to prove, and this has been an issue when we've talked to some of these universities, they actually have to prove that they're doing some sort of work. Like some booster or donor just can't come up to them and give them $200,000.
Gotcha.
Like they have to do something, which gets a little bit tricky because a kid can sign a football, go sell for $50,000. What is the market value? That really hasn't been determined yet. So they can get away with it, but there just has to be proof of doing some sort of work in order to get the money.
I see. So that makes sense because they're trying to avoid the wealthy universities from essentially giving people like a signing bonus, like paying them to go to that school.
Which is happening. I mean, essentially it is happening. The rich are going to get richer. The Alabamas, the schools in Texas. If you look at the recruiting that happened this year, the top 5 teams when it came to recruiting, just concluded last week, were Alabama or Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, and Texas. And I'm drawing a blank on the 5th, but those are big money schools. And A&M has some rumors floating that a lot of those donors came together and put some wallets, and it was able to entice some of these top recruits to come to their school.
Interesting. And so through the new system, I mean, they come work a shift at the car wash for $1 million. I don't know. I'm sure that there's going to be some checks and balances at some point when people are caught being really egregious, right?
So there's the idea that being floated that they have to get paid market value, market rate for their services. And so like somebody would say, paying somebody $1 million to work at the car wash, well, that's not market value. Yeah. But the pushback is, if you've paid it, then obviously it's market value, right? Yeah. In a capitalistic society, the idea is like market value is what the market is willing to pay. And so if somebody's willing to assign a $1 million price tag to the marketing that they're going to get as a business to have somebody come in and work a shift like that, there's no other definition of market value other than what people are actually doing. So yes, I agree that there's going to be probably some ideas around the regulation of it, but it's going to be very tricky. There's no great way to do that because the bottom line is these athletes are worth a lot, right? They're worth a lot, and they've been sort of held down for years and years. And so it's just not fair. It's not right to say that we're going to pay them the same amount for something that, somebody off the street would get paid for the same thing. Because that correlation, it just doesn't work.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you're gonna, it's like, it's weird to have these sort of half measures anyway, right? Like it's either they're amateurs, right? And never sell a jersey with the numbers on it, and you could avoid those kind of things, but they know they make more money when they do. Or they're, professionals in some way. And part of the professional aspect is the school that you're offering them, but they could pay to go to school or get a, like Aaron was saying, you could get a scholarship to go to school regardless, or depending on the state you're in, school can be close to free, right? So how do you live, feed your family, and support the people around you? If the people are making money off you, you should be able to participate.
Let me jump in and say one thing. I played, collegiate, and then also had a stint at the NFL. They're 100% professional athletes from as far as, the time commitment that they have to put in, the demand on your bodies. My experience was college ball was actually more demanding than professional athletics, just because of all the other things that you have to also balance while working on, being the best that you can be at your sport. So the idea that they were amateurs, that's something that the NCAA said so that they could continue to God's point to keep the kids down. So.
Yeah, it doesn't, it just doesn't make sense, right? It's hard work, and it's harder work than most people do, right? And so and again, you're betting on personalities, and these personalities deserve to get their cut. It's the fair way to be. I would think that you guys doing this as sort of NFT campaigns and on the blockchain makes everything pretty transparent as well, which I think universities and maybe even the people that are against this kind of thing would appreciate, right? There aren't any games being played here.
No, I want to go one point, and I'll kind of let Ty actually hit on that. But, I want to go on what Keith was saying about the amateurism and also just not helping these kids get ready for the next level. we talk about, and I mentioned earlier, like not having the ability to go get a job. Like you don't understand how to really handle financial responsibility. And so you're missing out from 18 to 22 before you hit the quote unquote real world of handling a bank account and some of these other things. I had teammates, one of our teammates, I'm not going to name names here, but played at Georgia and played with me at Kansas City. It was midway through his rookie season. It was my second year in the NFL. And he came up to me with a handful of checks. I mean, mid six figures worth of money in these checks. And he goes, "What do I do with this?" And I'm like, "Put it in your bank." He goes, "I don't have a bank account. Like, I've never had money before. Like, I don't know what to do with this." And I was like, "You need to get a financial advisor." I had him call mine. But a lot of guys just have no idea. So they're missing out on an opportunity these first 4 years out of high school, being on their own, to learn what it means to be financially independent, getting ready for the next stages of their life. So I think this is also an important opportunity that this NIL is allowing them to learn what it is to get paid, to pay taxes, how to budget, how to invest properly, all those lessons that a lot of guys are learning that they missed out on and that we missed out on before we became professionals.
Yeah, actually, Jeremy, one of our community members, was asking just that, if you guys or who is providing some of these families as well around the students' financial literacy or anything like that. Is that something you guys participate in?
So we haven't yet, but that is something that's in the thoughts for us. And we've actually reached out to some organizations to maybe partner with them and be able to provide that service to them. But like I said, we haven't formalized anything, so I won't share too many details. But I do think it's necessary because, as we mentioned earlier, a lot of these people come from backgrounds where they're not familiar with, even their parents aren't familiar with the amount of money that they'll be seeing. And we want to make sure, that they're able to build it in a way that's sustainable and can support them long term, not just, for the now.
Yeah, I mean, that's a part of it. You hear at least the stories with NFL and things like that, people that getting paid for the first time. And you see it also in this space with musicians and artists and everyone of all backgrounds, right? Like all of a sudden coming into it. Jeremy, by the way, shout out Jeremy who asked that question. I think you're originally from Georgia, if I pulling that memory out of the air. So let's see. I've got a few more questions. Actually, this is an interesting one from the crowd that I wanted to think about also. I get how this helps the top players. This makes perfect sense. Is there an angle here that helps sort of the rest of the team, or even players at Jim was asking, maybe players on like in a D3 school or something else? Is this sort of, are there any ways for those players to participate here?
So, if you think back to what we're doing, what our value is, what we're doing is we're connecting athletes to fans in authentic ways that can drive fan engagement and athlete branding. Anywhere where there's a college sport, there's an athlete, and anywhere there's an athlete, there's a fan base. And so we believe this can be applied all across the country. And our goal is that we can help those athletes build their brands and help those fans drive the engagement that they want, everywhere. And it's a lot of work, and it's not going to happen tomorrow. And we've got months and years ahead of us of growing this thing to get it to where we want it to be. But we believe this can impact every athlete.
Yeah, and does your plan, I would assume the rules are similar with other sports and things. Does your plan with the Players Lounge expand into other sports? Will it go into baseball, and, I don't know, soccer, and the rest of them?
Yeah, so as we're expanding to one of our schools now, there's been talks, and we're going to be targeting baseball, women and men's basketball, and even gymnastics. And I believe, and Ty can clarify this stat, I think there's out of the top 5 most paid student athletes right now, I think 3 of them are female athletes. Is that correct, Ty? Something like that.
It's like two or three of the top 5 and 5 of the top 10.
Yeah,
it's like number 1 and number 2. And so there's a huge. If we just help football players, we're missing the ability to go help hundreds of thousands of other athletes, and we're missing the ability to help hundreds of thousands of fans interact with those athletes. So this is a big market. It's a big project. It's something that we're going to have to bite off one bite at a time. But our goal is to help as many people as we can, because we really feel what we're doing is we're solving a problem more than selling a product. We're solving the problem of athletes being able to build their brand in an authentic way, and fans being able to interact with athletes in an authentic way. That has been a problem for decades. In the past, the way you solved that problem was you stood in line for 2 hours before the dog walk to slap hands with one of the guys as they walked by, or you stood in line for hours, to go to a signing, so you could walk up and let Aaron or Keith sign a football for you. Or, you joined a message board because maybe, some insider was at practice and heard something, Aaron or Keith said that they can pass along. Like, we want to cut out all of that and bring the fan directly to the athlete. We think it's solving a problem on both sides of the equation.
And I want to go a little deeper there. I think, when you think about any industry, and you talk about a disruptive company or disruptive technology, it kind of rewires, the level of engagement in that industry. And if you look at, the way that college fans have traditionally consumed content from, the programs that they follow, you have these third-party media houses who, they hire these reporters. The reporters go to practice. They watch 15, 30 minutes. They interview the players and the coaches after practice, and they go back, they do their write-ups. They release it to their message board. And fans pay, some communities at UGA, they have like 300,000 subscribers that pay $9.99 a month. What we're doing is the same thing. We can give you the same content. It's going to be more authentic because it's going to come directly from the student athletes as opposed to going to somebody else. And, obviously the money is going to help pay them as opposed to going to a third party who's actually just reporting on them. So I feel like what's disruptive about what we're doing is we're actually kind of rewriting the value chain, if you will, in kind of the collegiate sports fandom interaction space, and I think that's what's really powerful.
I think it's crazy cool because I being in the NFT space, right, and being it's funny to even say NFT space if you're been in technology companies and been in the blockchain space for a little bit, because it's like such a brand new thing and idea, because it's like only like it's been about 6 months at most that our friends and family outside of the nerds knew what an NFT was. So it's just funny to say that out loud, but so many people, right, and so many of us sort of started off by going, oh shit, this is the way of an artist going directly to the person, or to even find an audience that didn't even exist for them, right, like a few months ago. And, I was a punk rocker growing up, and I actually wrote this thing about the internet because I was like perfect timing. Like one of my first jobs was at MySpace, right? I remember writing this sort of article for a blog explaining the power of social media. And it was like, if you were at your high school, there were like 4 other nerds that were into punk rock also at the school. And maybe you got to the high school, you converted a few people, you met a few others, and maybe your crew was like 10 people at your high school that were even into the same thing you were. And then you turned 16 and got a driver's license and met the dudes from the high school next, across the way, and then the other place. And your crew turned into maybe 25 people, right? Then you graduated high school and you went to the other high schools, right? And now you can post your MP3 on the internet and meet every punk rocker at every high school across the world and have a following in the Philippines, if that's like, what you're into or what they like, right? So like this spider web comes out, and I always looked at it through the eyes of the artists or the misfits amongst us that are making this weird music that nobody likes. But if you find the right pockets of people, you do. But now you have these players, right? And these players are very in the same exact position as the artist. Like the only way for them to get access is to go through these middlemen and to go through these gateways, and these people create rules that don't help them, right? It reminds me of like the artists who go like, well, unless some fancy pants art gallery throws me in, and the only way to know them is to go to the right university or to go to hang out at the right clubs, or already be wealthy, you're not going to get them. And then if you do get there, there's agents and managers and people all in the middle that are going to take advantage. And it sounds like at least the collegiate, players, their journey is very similar. It's pretty radical to hear the idea of just having them go direct, right? Like everybody's got their favorite teams, their favorite players, and people have their different levels of engagement. And it's cool to see this kind of thing. I think it's the promise of blockchain, right? can you tell us a little bit more specifically how it works? Like, how does a player sign up, and what are do they kind of choose your own adventure, like, Zoom meetings with fans, or is there like what they choose, or do you guys kind of help them manage it? How does it work?
Yeah. So,
go ahead, Trent.
Yeah, so we're definitely leaving that open for the players, because we want this to be as authentic as possible for them, and not push them to do what we want them to do, but let them do what they enjoy doing. And so we've left that kind of open where they can come to us with what they love to do, and we can push that for them and help their brand and push that to the fans. So yes, very open, and we're open to hear what the players want to do, as opposed to us just telling them, hey, do this, do that. So it's a stance we're taking that's different than most other companies.
I don't know how much we can share, so I'll let Ty kind of plug in here, but we're working on a lot of things, to Trent's points, that will allow certain athletes to get involved in this as opposed to that. So part of the contracts that we're signing guys to, part of the obligation on their end is that they do provide a certain amount of content that we're able to then go market, so that, we can fund the whole deal. But we're trying to come up with different ways so that they can, to Trent's point, fulfill that in a way that's authentic to them, doing something that they enjoy, so they can really cultivate that community around themselves.
That's really, really cool. Yeah. So, I mean, you could unlock so many possibilities. And I think we've seen through guests of the show, right? We recently had the VFriends folks, right? And they're going to airdrop tickets to the VCon conference to all the holders and things like that. We've seen even VFriends, another good example of setting up Zoom meetings and doing things depending on which NFT you hold. So I think it's pretty great. Everybody who's I need to do the reset thingy. If you're joining us on the live feed on YouTube or on Twitter, through Blockchain Radio or through Lunar Crush, come join us at meet.blockchainbooze.io. You can ask questions in the chat for the Players Lounge, and come hang out with us and learn more about this project and the crew. And feel free to throw questions in there. I'm going to just really quickly answer this. Pravi just asked if I knew the identity of the Bored Ape team, and if so, why didn't I tell you? No, I knew a couple people who met them in real life, but I'm not that guy. Like, I don't get too excited about meeting certain people unless it's like crazy early stage. Then I want to meet all the founders and somehow get involved early. But no, I didn't know them, and I would have told you, Pravi, I promise. I'm trying to, like, my normal just instinct of like picking at projects and things like that. I'm trying to think of like downside style stuff or just questions that like roadblocks, but I feel like there's just so many ways in which this works and makes sense, right? Is there?
So there is one major roadblock here. And a major roadblock is, how do we actually get contracts in front of players all across the country, right? Mm-hmm. It's easy to deliver digital goods. It's difficult to get contracts from these players at each place that we're looking at expanding to. And so one of the things that we've realized really early on is, because of how great our team and our partners are, there's a lot that we could do, but we could do it better if we go find the best person out there in the industry and partner with them and let us help each other do that. So what we did there is Aaron and Keith both helped us get in touch with Drew Butler, who was a punter with us when we were in college. And Drew works for a company called Icon Source. And what they do is they facilitate brand interaction with student athletes all across the country. They've got over like 5,000 or 6,000 student athletes on their app. All you have to do from a brand perspective is submit your contract to Icon Source, and they get it into the players' hands. They handle all the tax repercussion stuff. They handle all the payment stuff. And so we were able to sign a partnership with them, and basically says, we will use them, they will use us, and together that, we'll make each other, better and stronger and be able to grow quicker. And so with that partnership, our hope is that we've sort of taken out one of the biggest roadblocks that there is. We're really excited about the future of that partnership and growing together.
Yeah, I mean, is the contract stuff, is it because each player has their own feelings and rules and things like that? You couldn't kind of standardize it? And then, yeah,
So,
I guess that's the first question. Yeah.
So you could, and we could do that, but there's a lot of education to be had. And it's not just, sending a contract through MailChimp or some other service, DocuSign. There's a lot of stuff that has to happen on the back end from a payments perspective, from a tax perspective, that partnering with a group like IconSource, it's all handled automatically. One of the big things is that every school has a different compliance disclosure process. So every school in the country, the one rule with NIL right now is when you sign a player to a contract, you have to disclose that contract to the university so that they can prove that there really is a quid pro quo going on there.
Yeah.
Because every university has a different process for how that works. At scale, that can be very difficult to manage the disclosure process at each university and do it the right way, because we want to make sure that we do everything right, because if we don't, it's the athlete that suffers.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that IconSource has already done is they have logins for each compliance officer at every school in the country, and they plugged into the compliance systems. So the second we hit go on the contract, everything else just happens. It's automatically disclosed to compliance. Compliance can log in to check and make sure that disclosure is correct. They handle all the tax stuff on the back end. So it really is sort of a seamless plug and play that helps us and also helps them and helps the athlete first and foremost.
That's really, really cool. I would assume that actually, I mean, that somebody, Crispin in the chat mentioned, I'm looking at it right now. He was mentioning scouts, if scouts would be good. And then I immediately thought of agents, but I realized we're talking about college athletes. So I don't know if agents really exist quite yet, other than trying to become your best friend so that if you get into the NFL or whatever, right?
Well, especially the marketing agents definitely do exist. Like, they are out there right now with these kids. And a lot of, I guess you call them contract agents, normal agents, in your opinion, or your thought of guys that are negotiating contracts for NFL or NBA or NHL, whatever it is. They have branches that are marketing. So they can sign a kid up to just say, hey, we're just the marketing agent under this larger firm as well. So yeah, no, the big time players, they're all signed up with some sort of marketing agent going out there and getting the deals, because, like Ty said, there's a lot of education on their part. Like, what am I worth? I don't want some restaurant, if I'm, the Heisman Trophy winner from Alabama, a restaurant comes to me and said, hey, we'll pay you $500 to do a commercial. College kid, like, hell yeah, I'll take $500.
Yeah.
Not knowing that you could probably ask for $40,000, $50,000 to do that commercial, whatever it is. Like, that's why these kids need the education. They need an agent, and most, like I said, the big time guys do have those agents.
Cool. Yeah. By the way, Jeremy, I called it. He is one of the community members. He is from Georgia, and he's actually a licensed financial advisor. He shared what kind of license in the chat, whatever. But anyway, I'll make a connection to you guys, because he might be the right guy. Ronin, you probably know him from the chat. He's organizing a bunch of hackathons and awesome things. So Ronin, I know you're involved and your company's involved. Can you give us a little more on that? But also, what do I need to know? What is the crew? The Blockchain Boost community. You've been hanging with us for a while now. What does the crew need to know? What am I missing? I feel like there's so much here to unpack, but it's also, I want to think about it. Yeah.
I think the first thing I think is kind of it just hit me was how this entire industry is being like created now that like these athletes have that ability. And the coolest part about that, in my opinion, is the fact that you see guys who experienced it now creating entire business models that help make it easier for the guys who come after, right? Like, to hear that story, like, I can't imagine how difficult it must be to like try to figure out how these contracts need to be processed at, thousands of universities that are out there when they're all doing it a little bit differently. And to know that, like, a former athlete, right, like, created this app and solved a problem that he knew would be there for his peers, right? So I think like the biggest thing for me is like that wow of like what's going on right now. And I love the fact that these guys really, you know, they had the forethought to think about how can we tie this to the blockchain, right? Because crypto is having its moment, just this week, right? Wells Fargo is like, this is going to see hyper like adoption. So like, I think to like really have that forethought of how can we integrate NFTs and make it something that, you know, brings value, right, to like our peers, but also like how can we build a product that has sustainability and how can it be applied to like so many different, I mean, I didn't even realize they were working with all these different, different sports. Last time we talked, they were looking at just 2. So, and to see like how much sense it makes. It's not forceful. It's a very like authentic project that as a fan, right? Like the coolest part of this whole thing for me is like, this just happened like organically. And I'm a huge Georgia fan. Like I'm from Georgia. I live just, north of the city. And so
you just went on like a 6-hour drive to check out a game the other day, right?
Yeah, that was shout out to the team, man. It was kind of like a thank you for helping to your point. I was talking to Trent that morning of the national championship game, and I was in
super last minute drove there. I think you got there during the first quarter or something.
Yeah, man.
Trent told me, he was like, dude, we got an extra ticket. We can either like give it away, but I really think we should give it to Ronin. Do you think Ronin would drive up? And the team was like, dude, you got to call Ronin. And so it called Ronin, and Trent called me. He was like, man, he's coming.
I said Ronin was a good luck charm. Whenever he got there, tide started turning for the dog. So
it was fun.
It might have been a good move to get you up there.
It's been the craziest experience.
And that's like the thing you need to cultivate, right? Like you start getting more free tickets. It's like, yeah, dude.
Whoever's next up. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I got to go to the SEC championship game. Unfortunately, it didn't work, but that was a really cool thing that just like, to have that opportunity. I drove from my doorstep to the national championship game, literally. And the great thing is my wife is like totally down for these crazy adventures that are happening now, thanks to NFTs and being in this space for a while. And but anyways, Gig Labs, what we do is we actually provide the back end, right? We provide a platform called NFT Bridge that allows like guys like, Ty and Trent and Keith and Aaron to stand up a fully functional NFT experience under their own domain, right? Like under their own platform. It comes with like all the bells and whistles. You have a secondary market. And what's cool is that hopefully by the end of the year, that's a CMS backed system and anybody can kind of be brought in and dude, it's so easy. I mint stuff literally in 5 minutes. I can get in, I can, put in all the metadata and everything. It's amazing. And it's because it's built on Flow. And so it allows you to do a lot of really cool things and makes it super easy for onboarding and stuff like that. So it made a natural fit.
Flow, just nerdy question, is an EVM chain, right?
Yes.
So you use your same Ethereum address and stuff like that, same wallet, but
no,
which networks?
Flow is not EVM. I'm thinking of a different word. I'm bad with the tech side of things. But yeah, no, it's.
So what wallet do you use and stuff?
You use so there's Blockto, which is like a third party, and then you have Dapper. You have the straight up Dapper wallet. And what's cool is like these guys were one of the first projects to actually have access to the Dapper wallet outside of Dapper's own clientele. So Gig Labs, we work, closely with Dapper. They are an investor in us. And they actually used the NFT Bridge to stand up the NFL shops that you guys have seen, the 49ers, the Giants that just launched today. That's all built on NFT Bridge. And it does some really amazing things. Like we minted 300,000 NFTs in like 20 minutes yesterday. Like nothing, like no problem. I think like something like that, even for like Dapper, has been a much heavier load. So we provide the back end. Me personally, I've been in NFTs for 2 years and I help these guys with the strategy as far as how to approach it and the timing and, pricing, things like that, and just helping them understand the space a little bit. They did the work though. I have to say, like as an advisor, somebody who's like brought in and like, how can we make this work? This number one tip for everybody coming in the space, if you got an NFT project, whether you're a legacy brand or whatever, the number one thing you need to do is focus on community before you launch an NFT, because like if you do that, you can be successful and you build a really like solid foundation. And these guys did that. And I think that that's why they're getting these opportunities to work with a lot of other schools and build the same thing there. And for fans, for like college football fans who are like rabid fans, this is like a dream experience. So
yeah. I mean, you guys know Matt on our team, Matt Bozio. He's ex baseball player. He played baseball in college, but he knew a lot of you guys just by name from watching college football. And I don't watch as much college football as I do NFL, but I have a lot of friends that are super obsessed and a lot of guys that like it more than watching NFL because they more pure, just different, right? So I totally understand the need for it. And by the way, to some of you giving me, I don't know what the weird joke today is about Bored Apes, but you guys should be giving Ronin the hard time because he's been in NFTs just as much. And look, he clearly was in apes before me because of that. I could tell. Actually, I know the story behind the hat. I think I could have got one, but the poster behind you and all that. So give Ronin shit about the apes. I don't know what all these questions in the QA are about. But here's a really good question from Anne. As we sort of are winding down, I'll just tell you guys, grab that I wanna get some plugs from you guys soon before we end. But we still have about 15 minutes, so hop in here, meet.blockchainbooze.io if you want to ask last minute questions, or hop into the chat with the rest of the community. So Anne had a good question about like AML, CFT compliance and KYC, things like that. I know you're not selling any securities here or anything like that, but is there any requirements from the person purchasing the NFT that's different from a normal purchase in this situation? Like, do I need to show my ID or be public about my name if I'm buying a certain player's product?
No, it runs straight through the Dapper wallet. So the experience is exactly like, a Top Shot. If you want to pull your funds out, they do require KYC. But from what I actually understand, I think Dapper just launched the ability to attach it to your credit or your checking account directly. As long as you KYC, everyone now has the ability to use those funds and put them in and out of their accounts, which is really cool. Dapper does things a little bit differently, but it does open us up to, they were able to onboard their fans in 2, 3, 4 minutes. You just need an email address and then your phone number. And then when you're checking out, we check out with like every currency possible. You can use your credit cards. You can use Apple Pay, Google Pay. Really easy onboarding experience.
What about for the Players Lounge product itself? If I'm buying, if I love Keith and I want to buy his NFT, so I get the hang session with him specifically, is there somewhere behind the scenes where my name is recorded as being the person supporting Keith so the university sees it on their compliance or something, or does it not matter on that granular of a basis?
It doesn't matter on that basis. And one of the things that we've really tried to do is to ensure that the NFT lines we've dropped so far are sort of open for everybody. And so they're not tied specifically to a player. We've got some things in mind that we haven't really released yet that may be more tied to individual players, but that's sort of part of our long-term vision. But for now, what we've done is release a lot of really cool artwork that is each unique and one of one, and it's benefited all the players that were involved.
Cool. No, yeah. So I assume then that means that like the contract is more between the player and the Players Lounge, and then the purchaser is a separate. Cool. One more question about the product. At least one more. The legal portion, I think that you mentioned, that goes through Icon, I think was the name of the company. But the legal part in general, Crispin was asking, is it an automated thing? Is it just scaling with the team? How does it work exactly? Or
so the legal side would, as far as like signing contracts.
I think that's what he was referring to. Signing the contracts, or even just creating the contracts for each player.
So Trent has handled the contract creation side of things with our team of attorneys, and then as far as signing contracts, my understanding is it's really just sort of the push of a button through the Icon Source app once they agree that everything in the contract is the way it should be. They hit a button, signs their name, and then Icon Source handles everything else.
Oh, very cool. Sounds like it scales really well. Yep, there we go. Jim's sharing some stuff in the chat, so perfect. Guys, we're running towards the last few minutes. I wanted to give everyone a chance to at least update this on outside of the Players Lounge. Are you working on anything else? And give us a link of where to follow you and see what you're working on. Maybe we go around. Start with you, Keith.
I'm not really working. My focus is really on the Players Lounge right now. I'm actually getting an MBA, so I'm finishing that up too. But
oh, nice.
Those are two of my focus. If you want to follow me on social medias, I'm Truth4 with 2 H's. I'm not overly active, but I am now more so than I was because of the Players Lounge. So yeah, we'd love you guys to follow me there.
Awesome, very cool. Where are you getting your MBA?
I'm at Emory in Atlanta.
Oh, cool. Oh, I got just a random thought. I think that I spoke to some folks from Emory through OHub that's based in Atlanta, Opportunity Hub. Rodney Sampson is one of our venture partners for our fund. He does a thing called Opportunity Hub in Atlanta, and Emory was one of the universities. So very cool. So we got to actually that's somebody, Ronin. We should connect. Should connect Rodney as well with the Players Lounge crew. Ty and Trent, you guys soul Players Lounge or?
Yes, I'm in the real estate business, but the Players Lounge has kind of morphed into basically my full-time job. Like I think most people here. Not really active on social media. I guess the most you can catch me posting is in the Discord. So if you want to chat me, hit me up in there and I'll respond. But social media is not my thing.
I don't think Trent really understands what Twitter is.
Yeah.
Any you looking into any of the blockchain crypto real estate stuff?
I haven't yet. I've heard of Sandbox and all that, but I haven't dove in.
So I got
you could go full in metaverse, Decentraland, Sandbox. Like the land is virtual, but there's also people like a crew who's been on here, one of our portfolio companies based in Ohio. They do like tokenized real estate stuff. So you could buy like a portion of a building and participate or syndicate one of the deals with your friends. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of stuff going on in real estate.
It's the same thing. I saw somebody had tokenized ownership, like fractional ownership in like the Tom Brady rookie card and broke it up into like 300 plus pieces. And it's really amazing. With the land stuff, I had somebody ask me last week, like, can you get on and buy the state of Georgia or the state of Tennessee?
Yeah, Super World.
What's the name of that?
So there's one called Super World, and full disclosure, I'm an investor in Super World. But like, for example, I bought the land that my grandma's house was on. I bought the local hiking trails by my house. So that yesterday when I took my dad on a hike, I was like, I own this land. He's like, what are you talking about? It's a national park or it's open space. And I'm like, no, in Super World.
How do they have the right to sell it?
So it's what they did was we'd probably have to have a whole thing about the legal aspects of it. But what they did was they basically they divided the world into, I forgot how many, like 64 billion square blocks, right? Yeah. And you can buy a block, and what you're doing is you don't necessarily obviously own the land, but in their metaverse, you'll have the ability to like sell things on it or take a commission if people do sell things on it. Do things like I was gonna do like an NFT scavenger hunt kind of thing. Like, hey, for every time you get to the top of the highest peak on Lizard Rock or whatever, if you can take a selfie with a fake version of me standing there like this, right? And you mint an NFT as part of being there, and maybe you get rewarded for doing it, or like things like that. So it's pretty cool. But the legal aspect of it is something we got to ask Rish. The founder. We'll have him back again because it's super fun, and it's like It's ridiculous. I actually bought on the hill next to my house. There's the big CLU sign for the university that's here. It's actually the university that the Rams play at right now in Southern California temporarily. And I bought the hill that has their letters on it, and I gifted it to the school, or I told them it's theirs for when we finally do something. But
That's
like,
pretty cool.
it's
That's
fun
really cool.
stuff. Like you could buy. It could be like personal fun stuff, but then like there's people who bought like. Joseph, my partner, just told me he got an offer on Superworld because he bought the Vienna airport because he's originally from Vienna. So he just bought all of the squares that take up the airport, and now somebody's trying to buy it from him. Like it's pretty radical.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah, it's crazy.
Off topic. Projects I'm working on. This has been my full-time job for 3 months now. I'm a fourth-year medical student. And I go through the match here in March. But the great thing is I was very fortunate to have, some pretty understanding advisors. And we got our 4th year schedule set up so that I front loaded everything so that I'd have time to work on this project, for the last several months and going forward, which has been really amazing.
That's really, really cool. And then I know, Ronin, we talked to you a little bit already of what you're doing, but where do we follow you? Ronin the Collector, right?
Yeah. So you can follow me on Twitter, Ronin DACC, because the Collector is one character too long. I picked a horrible name, man. Everywhere I try to use my name, I can't use it because it's one character too long. But you can follow. I'm involved in Gig Labs. I do a lot of strategy stuff. I also do content creation. And then this year, I will be, for anybody who's attending the conferences, going to be hitting like Denver. I'll be there.
Cool. I'll be there on Friday too, by the way, everyone. I'm doing insanely quick trip, a day trip. So I literally leaving my house I'm actually leaving the airport at 5 a.m, but I'll be there all day on Friday.
Nice. Yeah. So I'll be on the circuit. I'll be hitting all, the conferences, talking about different, topics of conversation, probably around brands and legacy and bridging Web3 in an authentic way. And then aside from that, huge mental health advocate. So I'll be talking about mental health and burnout in the NFT space specifically, with a lot of, prominent figures that have talked openly about that subject.
That's awesome. We should do some dedicated, focused blockchain boozes on that, because there's a few people working on that, and it's crazy important. And not just in the NFT space, but in the blockchain space in general. We've had a roller coaster ride, to say the least, for the last few years, and I think a lot.
You feel like you can't sleep. You feel like you can't sleep because if you do, like, you miss out on something. And so there's a way to cope with that and deal with it so you don't get burnt out, because otherwise it happens to everybody, right? So we want to make sure people are aware of it and, that they're able to like help curb that. I think it'll always happen. Like, we'll always run into it. We're all trying to grind, right? Everybody wants to make it, but we can take care of ourselves and help ourselves, like, make those times less.
Yeah, I think you learn over time. It's hard to at the beginning, but I will say, like, when I was experimenting with trading in like the 2016 craziness, and I'm not a trader, I'm not a good trader. I'm not that guy. I just hold on to the shit I love. And but you could make a purchase at midnight or 2 a.m, right? You just YOLO, like, I want to buy some ETH tonight, or ETH is not even the best example, just some random token. You wake up in the morning, you think you're a genius, like, holy shit, I made so much money. You go on a drive to work. By the time you get there, you're poor again, or you made the worst trade you've ever made in your life. Like, I just wasted all my money. And then, you check on your lunch break and all of a sudden you're a genius again. Like, it's impossible to not be glued to it, and because everybody's dollar value of what's a meaningful amount of money is totally different, and it could make or break us, right? And we make stupid bets and things like that, and so you have to learn, like, the roller coaster ride and kind of bet with conviction and hold, right? And it starts to get easier to sleep at night because you're not checking the floor of your random NFT or whatever like 17 times at night and freaking out about it, because you're going to hold it regardless. But let's jump to Aaron. What are you working on other than the Players Lounge? If so, give some plugs and let us know where to follow you.
Yeah, so I work for CBS Sports and SiriusXM, so I'm a color commentator for college football. and also do that for the Sirius XM. So this is kind of my off season right now. Football season's over with. So like the rest of these guys, a little bit more full time here, and just enjoying the crap out of it. And you can follow me at Aaron Murray 11 on all my socials.
Awesome. Guys, thank you so much for joining. Definitely would love to have you back and get some updates on how things are going, especially maybe I'm assuming there'll be a lot more activity during football season. So remind me, come back, hang out, let us know what's up. And for everyone else watching, I'm just going to throw up one last time, meet.blockchainbooze.io if you want to come turn on your camera and hang with us. And even check into the chat, because some of the crew shares an after party link during the after party thing and are up all hours of the night, and it's a great crew. And Ronan's laughing because he knows some of the crew, but companies have been started in these tables backstage. We've been doing it this is number 98. So there's been companies started. We're almost at 2 years of doing this. I know that DGH, I took down the logo because it was blocking Trent's face during part of it. So I felt bad, but DGH has invested in some of these companies and participate in creating companies backstage there. So if you're an entrepreneur, you're an investor, you're a collector, goofing around and learning, come hang out. Everyone is stoked to help and teach you and hang. So great to meet you guys. I really appreciate the time, and good luck with everything. I think what you guys are doing is amazing. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you for having us.